Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled "Neighbor Believes Public Parking Space Should Belong to Him, Slashes Our Tire." This happened just a couple of months ago and I thought I would share with you guys. EN is entitled Neighbor and AN is Awesome Neighbor. Some context: where I live, houses don't typically have driveways. If you have a parking garage in your house, the street parking space in front of it is considered yours as well and not legal for someone else to park on without your permission. If you don't have a garage though, that street parking space is considered public and anyone has the right to park on it anytime. The only instance in which it is not legal to leave a car in a public space is if you are using it to abandon the vehicle, in other words leaving it there for a ridiculous long amount of time without moving it. Now to the story. I used to live in a small apartment complex. There were 6 apartments distributed between 2 floors, none of them had a garage. I did not used to have a car until my boyfriend moved in, so I had never really paid attention to parking spaces. When he moved in, he started leaving his car in front of the apartments on the very legal first come first served spaces. Well, 2 of the downstairs neighbors seemed to believe that since we were living upstairs, we were stealing their places because they were in front of their apartments and they should have them for themselves. Not sure how they wanted us to park up in the air. We had that discussion with them multiple times, told them to get a government permit to make it exclusive and rightfully theirs, and we would stop parking there. Those permits are crazy expensive, they didn't get them, we kept parking. One night we go out, get in the car and realize that one tire has been slashed. Really weird, but we just change it without adding 2 and 2 together. The next day AN tells us that police officers had attended a report of an abandoned car, our car. Apparently EN thought it would be really clever to slash our tire to make the car look abandoned and then opened an abandoned car report on it. This way police would come and tow our car, freeing up the space and costing us a lot of money in the process. When we looked up the report, the guy had said that we hadn't moved the car in months. We moved it at least 3 times a week. Since AN saw the officers inspecting our car, he went down to talk to them and explained that the car belonged to us, that we had it in constant use and the report was fake. It helped a lot that we had changed the tire right away before police went to check out. The most frustrating part about this is that EN would come up with multiple trash cars that barely moved all the time, and he would take up 5, 6 or 7 street parking spaces at a time. So he did understand the concept of public parking, he just believed everyone should give up their parking rights to him. We tried talking to him after the incident and he was way too coward to face us, instead sending his wife, who told us we needed to have empathy for him. Anyways, now we have moved to a place with assigned parking per apartment and so far no ENs around. And as I said before guys, that is definitely one of the things I really dislike about Bangkok, because more often than not the parking situation here is kind of hellish if you ask me. It is often really difficult to find a parking spot, especially if you drive a car. And the next one is entitled "Neighbor Pepper Sprays My Dog and Steals My Phone." For context, we lived across the street from this woman for about 6 years. We've never had a problem with her, and she always put really cute outfits on her dog, so obviously we knew her. Last year we got our dog and she was the most playful puppy you could ever meet. The only problem that she really had was the fact that she would run up to people and just assume that they wanted to play. By this I mean she would just start doing that tappity jumpy thing that dogs do when they are excited, and she would never jump on people or bite. The first encounter we had with her with our dog first when she was about 3 months old. And she ran up to said neighbor. At this point in time my dog was about the same size as her dog. She wasn't on a leash because we were watching her in our yard. She immediately pulled out the pepper spray until my mom confronted her, apologized and told her, "Don't touch our dog." She gave my mom a threat that I really cannot remember too well, but she still continued to go down the same route for the next year. Nothing really exciting happened the next year after that. Our dog grew and she was still very playful. She is everyone's favorite dog on the block. It was not until I got home one day and I sat in my car for a moment. I saw her walking past with her dog holding a bottle of pepper spray in her hand, not thinking too much of it. My dog is outside with my mom and we don't expect our dog to go run up to the woman. My dog is about 6 feet away from her safely, just doing her little dog tapping thing with her feet. Gosh, it is so cute to think about, and this lady just targets to spray my dog. Me, being the crazy dog mom that I am, I run up to the woman and I shove her and I tell her to not pepper spray my dog. Immediately, she starts to pepper spray me, and that is when I, a 20-year-old woman, start to restrain this 60-year-old woman as she uses the rest of her pepper spray on me, trying to aim for my dog. Immediately, she drops herself to the floor, slyly grabs all of my things that fell off me while I was running to my dog, phone, glasses, vape, the usual, and was pretending like she was assaulted by me pretty bad. The cops did end up coming and they ended up telling me that she likes to attempt to pepper spray other people's dogs if they walk up to her, and that is what she was known for in the neighborhood. They ended up sending her home and me back into my house after that happened, and the cops gave me a phone number just in case I needed to get a hold of them. This woman had no idea that I used a Google tracking device on my phone that I can easily look into on my iPad. I ended up finding out this woman took my phone to her house, wrapped it up in a trash bag and threw it away, along with my other things. The cops ended up coming back to her house after I showed them the tracking device on my iPad and I played my alarm sound until they found my stuff. They ended up charging her with battery and theft and I pressed charges on my broken phone. I am glad that it ended out the way that it said, but it's so heartbreaking to see people really wanting to hurt other animals. Especially with pepper spray. I don't want to say that she was in the wrong for getting scared of my dog, but she knows from experience that my dog is not trying to hurt her or her dog, my dog is just excited. My dog was being monitored by my mom and usually she listens to her, so this was unexpected. Edit: I didn't expect this post to gain so much traction, so I'm going to explain a few things that happened in the situation which seems to confuse people. When Lady, my dog, was running up to the woman who already had the pepper spray on hand with her, my first instinct was just to go run up to her and apologize for my dog and carry on with my day. But as soon as I am close enough, I do see her spraying my dog. I am not happy with my actions as I immediately shoved her away from my dog, and that is when she starts to pepper spray me. Of course I am going to fight back. This woman is assaulting me. We obviously had this planned months prior. She was expecting that she was going to pepper spray my dog that time around. I am not sure if she got charged with animal abuse, but I do know for a fact that she also ended up pepper spraying her dog in the process of spraying me. Her poor dog was just yelping in pain for 15 minutes and it was horrible to hear. Same with my lady. My sister was just sobbing while hearing my dog crying while washing her eyes out. If you really feel like you are in danger with the dog, there are tactics that you can use in order to distract them from you. I was told how to defend myself from dogs when I was around 7, and that has permanently gotten rid of any possible fear of dogs that I could have had. Edit: we live in a small town, everyone else has a dog too, we don't let her out unsupervised. The woman was walking slowly on our side of the yard waiting for my dog to come out onto the front of our yard. She had intentions to spray my dog from the start as she has sprayed other dogs before. We have a fence on each side to separate our houses from the neighbors and she doesn't leave the yard. We were not aware of her habit of spraying dogs until after the cops told us what happened. The fence is obviously halfway done, but due to the virus and my dad passing suddenly, he was very handy and had plans to build the rest of the fence, it's been hard to get anything done without my mom getting emotional. Obviously not a good excuse. We would also have to get the fence regulated by our neighborhood considering the small rural area. And guys, if you have watched until here and enjoyed the stories about awful neighbors, please don't forget to like the video and maybe even post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support me. Both of these things help me a lot in regards to the stupid YouTube algorithm, so thank you very much in advance. And the next one is titled Entitled Mother Thinks She Owns My House. Characters: EM Entitled Mother, EK Entitled Mother's Kid, OP me, GF my girlfriend. Background: I live in a rather quiet apartment building, but as soon as this crazy woman moved here, I knew that my situation was going to go tits up. I always try my best to be kind to my neighbors, and it wasn't any different for EM. I enjoy having small get-togethers in my apartment with a couple of my neighbors, so when EM and her annoying as hell kid moved into the building, I decided to invite them to a weekly Friday adults-only game night. Don't judge, this was all pre-virus. The party was set to begin at 7, but EM came a good hour late. Our parties are adults only because we have lots of alcoholic beverages and some weed set out. EM decides to ignore the clear as day rule that kids are not allowed, and she decides to bring her little craphead to my house. As soon as I see the kid, I tell her no kids allowed, but then she goes and says, "It is okay, he has my permission." I sigh and ask her to come back in 10 minutes. Now me and the neighbors have to clear all of the weed and alcohol and pack them in the cupboards. She and her piece of crap come back in 30 minutes and immediately start eating all of my food. I'm a really non-confrontational person, so telling them to stop was a big no-no. This is not even the real story yet, it is just some background to explain the crap show that is about to happen. The story: virus happened, GF was staying at my place during the virus period because her parents both have pre-existing conditions. We went through the whole process, quarantine, testing and eventual moving. So one day I was out of the house getting groceries when GF called me crying and saying she didn't feel safe in our apartment. Apparently my girlfriend was taking a shower when she heard someone moaning. She thought it was me and she opened the curtain to see EK, that little guy, beating his meat and standing outside the open bathroom door. She screamed, slapped him and kicked him out. Hearing this, I immediately rushed home to comfort her, having absolutely no clue how that little guy got into my home. As soon as I get home, I see EM standing outside my apartment banging on the door, maskless. I tap her on the shoulder and start to explain to her that she really needs to control her kid. I tried to be as nice as possible, even though I was seething with anger. I tried to tell her that I understand his body is going through changes and that he has urges, but breaking into people's houses and doing stuff like this was not okay at all. Before I can finish, EM goes off at me. She starts screaming that her son did not break into anyone's house and that GF had no right to hit him. She said she was going to call the cops and tell them that we assaulted her little boy. Even though at this point I am literally about to slap her, I try my best to remain calm and ask her how her mistake of a son got into my house. The entitled mom starts screaming at me, and in her anger she lets it slip that during my neighborly meeting in the background section, she took one of my apartment keys. My brain just shuts off. GF comes out hearing the commotion and apparently heard that EM stole my keys. GF goes off. She says she is calling the cops for stealing, breaking and entering, and invasion of privacy. At this point my brain is still processing what EM just said. EM screams back that in her rental agreement she was given access to all the amenities of the apartment and she somehow believed that my house belonged to them too. Keep in mind, I own my apartment. GF and I kept strong on her promise and called the cops right then and there. EM got arrested, but I don't know what happened from there. All I know is that I changed my locks, got only 2 new house keys, gave one to GF and kept in. And also, I bought one of those camera doorbell things. My neighbor stole the expensive fence work I paid for. And by the way guys, this was posted on r/legaladvice.uk. England, we have a boundary fence that is owned by our neighbor. The deed says it is their responsibility. However, they are actually not next door neighbors, so to speak. It is a strange garden configuration and they actually live on a cul-de-sac that is a few minutes walk away, but that long fence is theirs. We have just had about £9,000 of work done landscaping our garden, and one part was spending quite a lot of money treating the fences, sanding, preparing, removing the algae and then double painting them to a lovely color. All finished, 5 days of work and they look fantastic. Fast forward 3 days after the job was concluded and we get home from shopping only to find that they have lifted all 19 fence panels and turned them 180 degrees. And now they've got all of the panels that we worked on facing inward to their garden, and we've got the same ugly panels we started with. I've been over there twice and I know they are in, but they are not answering the door on purpose because they can see me on their Ring doorbell. I would like to solve this amicably, but do I actually have any rights here? And a user in the comments said, I mean, it is a bad thing for them to do, but they own the fence. I don't think you have any comeback. To be honest, while I completely understand you being annoyed, the sheer audacity of what they have done is hilarious. It is so cheeky that you kind of have to admire the chutzpah. Whatever that means, I'm not sure by the way. And the next one is an update to the neighbor stealing the fence story. After an entertaining bout of Reddit, I cannot believe that I am able to write this. I am so happy. So, this afternoon my wife and our 2 little girls walked to the neighbors with a case of Moretti beer by way of apology. When I went round last time, I saw that their recycling was out with loads of bottles of Moretti in, so I figured it is what they drink. The wife opened the door and was confused about who we were and why we were there, but I explained that we were apologizing for the immense hassle we had put them through by painting their fence without permission. I explained, still in the doorway, that we had been thoughtless in not asking for permission and the beer was a little sorry for the hassle they had to go through flipping the fence panels. She invited us all into the house. I could see the fences from the kitchen, it was like torture, and we then met the husband. A very different experience, this one. He was not welcoming because he has a vest on and was quite sweaty when he came downstairs. B, he greeted us with, "Who's this?" He was drinking a bottle of Stella. It was only 1 PM and I realized I may have made a mistake coming over with an Italian beer. Nevertheless, I explained again that we were here because we were really sorry for the hassle for him having to flip the fences, hence the beer, and he accepted that it had been a lot of work for him flipping them with his son called over, especially to help. He was still sporadically very angry that we had not asked his permission, which he made very clear several times. We got chatting about football, which helped, and he was easing up. We had a few drinks in his garden as I tried to keep my kids under control, and after about half an hour he said that he would flip the fences back if we promised to ask him about any more structural changes that would affect the view from his property. I bit my lip. These do not seem like structural changes, but I acknowledged my mistake and once again apologized profusely. Together we flipped all the fence panels back using a rickety step ladder and ended on great terms. They are sound people and I felt like a bit of a cock for the mistake. I have learned a lot Reddit, not least about the need for tact and diplomacy ahead of legal rights. Seriously, thank you for your help explaining things to me on the last thread. I should have been a bit angry had I met them before, but this worked out a lot better. I'm honestly well chuffed right now. We have our fences back, my wife is not pissed at me, and I have learned a huge amount about the law, albeit almost too late. And ripe stars, unfortunately we have already reached the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content. However, if you cannot wait for more ripe content, then I suggest you head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where you can find more exclusive Reddit content read by me. Patreon subscriptions start at just $1 per month, and for $1 your name will show up at the end of each of my new videos. However, if you are willing to spend $3 per month, you will get access to more than 50 exclusive Reddit videos, mostly just no mother-in-law stories. However, please understand, I don't want to pressure anyone into spending money, because I am already incredibly grateful that you watch my videos every single day. Thank you so much for your daily support, it really means the world to me, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for the next video.